because that is a really really big factor still to this day, to a point where almost we are doing good and we're starting to be seen, but that respect level, when you put your foot down, you're no longer seen with respect. You're now just seen as the B word, or you're now seen as a pretentious person. You're arrogant. You're hard to work with. Whereas if my male peer said the exact same thing to this person, it would have been seen with a level of respect. Oh, okay, I understand you. I hear you. I'm not going to treat you like that again. But as a woman, it's almost like, well, now the door has closed on you. And I think that's it's really something that really needs to be paid attention to, especially having like my father as my manager. I've noticed this in many situations where I'll literally say something. I'll say something. It's not heard, not respected, not understood, or they just give me the runaround. But let my dad say the exact same thing to them, and they'll get on it right away. And I'm like, wow. So there is still like that part of, just that level of respect. And then in terms of harassment, just for all the ladies watching, especially in this industry, I'm very thankful to have the people I have around me. But there is a whole lot, and I've had it happen to me. I've had it, people have tried me. And there's big stems of manipulation, especially when they're in a higher position than you. And you just need to know that you need to stand your ground no matter if that door closes on you or not, because your value is what will show out of that more than what you could have gotten out of it. And that's the most important. I think that's really, really important to let women know, because a lot of them get fooled to believe this is what they have to do to get forward, when it's not the case. Your worth is everything. Your value is everything.
Can I?
Everything. And I'm going to quickly go. I wanted to segue into the challenges faced, and I'm
Oh,
so
sorry.
glad that we're here.
Sorry
This is
about that.
perfect. This is
Okay.
exactly where we need to go,
Beautiful.
and exactly where I wanted to go. And I'm gonna take it over to you
Yeah.
in a moment. But I'm really glad that we're here. This is the part of the conversation that I'm really looking forward to probably the most, and I'm most excited about, because it's a hard topic and
Yeah.
people feel uncomfortable talking about it. But the more we talk about these uncomfortable situations that we're in, that we're faced with, I'm sure we've all been faced with,
Yeah.
the more educated we become on this particular topic, I think the better off we'll be. And of course, for the women and the men that are watching as well, we hope that you're just taking this in, and just, this is food for thought. This is super important.
Yeah.
AC.
Yeah, and just to Tome's point about worth, I try to tell the people that are around me that know who you are before someone else tries to tell you.
Hello.
Because as somebody that was a dancer first, you were trying to please. Everybody has that disease to please. What do I need to do? How much? Okay, I don't need to be here for Christmas. Oh, I can actually, no, I don't need to see my family at all for the next 2 years, because I want to be available. It's like I want to be. That's the way the industry has been set up, and that's why it's like it took me 15 years before I actually stopped, like really stopped. And it's that disease of like, well, if I don't do it, there's no other opportunity. That other door may not open. And there's not enough people that actually have a conversation with you to say, do the thing that you want to do. Like, follow the thing that is of your heart, the thing that is going, even if that means that door, that could be a really amazing opportunity, even if that door closes, when you follow your heart, that door is going to open up 6 more. It may take longer. It may take you through a different route and something else, and you might discover something else that you didn't even know you were supposed to do. But those doors will open, because I remind people, because, having been a commercial dancer, dancing backup for artists and all of that stuff, working in film, the work that I'm the most proudest of is the things that I have created myself. Because then that's me. I don't have to worry about being in someone else's shadow to figure out who I am. And there's as a dancer, you are in other people's shadow. Like, that is your job.
Yeah.
Who are you? Does anybody know any of Janet Jackson's former dancers, her choreographers, the people that helped to make her who she is? Nobody knows Tina Landon. Tina Landon was a woman. Nobody even knew Paula Abdul was her choreographer. And so as a dance artist, it's like there's no respect. There's no respect for the people that we have helped to create, the visions that we've been able to bring to life. So whether you're a dancer or a choreographer, you are always in the background. So for me, It's really about knowing who you are, because then I can say, no, I don't actually agree with this. No, I don't agree to that. I don't like the way that I'm being seen or showed. I don't like how you are choosing to portray me. And that's the reason why I want to be able to kind of step back and really evaluate, because I personally feel in COVID and, you know, everything that has been happening, but especially within the last 8 months has really shown me, when you put your line in the sand and other people are like, no, just keep jumping. You're like, no, I'm not going anywhere. No, just keep jumping. No, keep jumping. Actually, you know, we'll come to you. Thank you. And that's the thing that nobody tells you. Nobody tells you, wait long enough. Stand your ground, because and make sure you're coming with excellence, because you can't just stand your ground and you're not really offering anything. You have to know that you are of worth. So when they come to you, they know that they will go that distance for you. They will come and respect you for the work that you're doing, because you said, I'm going to stand here.
Yes.
And I'm going to occupy this space. So I feel like in this idea of changes and challenges, this is something that I really try to pour into people that are around me, because I've had to go through it. And I never thought that by holding my ground, I would have actually been able to progress further because of it. You know, in this industry, mental health is such a big thing. And the amount of people that I've seen with careers that have ended because they can't deal with the reality of the business.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no.
The people that I
business
started with are
cutthroat.
not the people that are around me right now. Even within the last 5 years, the people are still not around me.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is that resilience that you have to build to actually have a longevity in this business?
Yeah.
You know, I want to do this when I'm 40, when I'm 60, when I'm 75. I still want to be creating. So what does that mean? And if that's the case, I can't be, you know, slaving myself for someone that doesn't care about me. I need to know who I am, so that way I can actually continue to build on it as I move forward through the decades.
Absolutely, a very important message. Really quickly for me, it's been a long road and a long journey, and a lot of you know me. I've worn many hats and done so many different things in this entertainment space, and I think me wanting to wear many hats along the way, people are saying, well, you got to pick a lane. You got to just do this. You only are known for this. You can only do this. You should only do this. And I just ignored it. I just ignored it, and I just did all of the different things, from stage managing to publicity to hosting to radio. I did it all because I loved it, and I felt like I could do it, and I was committed to it, and I was determined to prove those wrong that felt that I had to pick a lane. And I think it's very important to know yourself and to, of course, know your worth, and to be okay with being labeled difficult or challenging or whatever the case is, because they're going to label you that way anyways. I know for me in radio, there were challenges at the beginning, right? Because my co-host is a male and he has a strong, very powerful voice, and I would fight him. And I would fight him for my voice, and I would fight him for what I believed was right, the content, the stories, all of that. And in the end, it worked, right? Because you have to demand your respect, and you have to stand up, and you have to push. I know there are a lot of men along the way that try to like trick me and try to like put me in positions and get me into, and I just always would have my parents and God in the back of my mind, and me being like, can I go to bed at night knowing that I did this or I did that, or I subjected myself to this, and I just wasn't, I just couldn't sit with myself, so I just pushed, and there were some opportunities, of course, along the way that had to no longer be an opportunity because I just wasn't willing enough to be in a position that was unbecoming of me. So never feel like bad for saying no to a male that's trying to, sexually harass you or proposition you and say, I'll give you this gig if you sleep with me, or whatever the case is. I know we can all relate to it one way or another. It's never okay, and it's not okay. Nadine, I know you have many years of experience and many things to share with us.
I think you ladies really said it all.
Yeah.
It's about knowing yourself, who you are, and standing your ground. I really appreciate what AC just said, because it's true. I've also drawn a line, and I've lost many opportunities because of that line. And, I've faced a lot of harassment. However, at the same time, I know myself, and I feel that I can say no to anything. I've always said I'd rather be out somewhere in a cardboard box with nothing than accept something which is not true to myself, where I can't go to sleep at night without thinking about that. And I think it's gotten a lot better because now there's more respect. But working in radio, you brought up a really good point, because most of us do have co-hosts that are males. And even from learning how to run a board, how to do everything in a radio station, there was always this kind of, oh, they'll take care of it. And, I pushed myself a lot to learn things, because I said, if I don't learn this, I'm not going to progress in what I want to do. And I felt also like it's also a control thing.
Yeah.
Like when somebody is running a system and you're sitting there on a mic waiting for them to turn your mic on,
We all felt that.
you're not in a position of control. So it feels really
Yeah.
good to be in that position. And not to necessarily, like, I'm not saying to put anybody else down. I've worked with a lot of males and they've been just wonderful.
Yeah.
But there have been other incidents that I felt like, no, I'm just going to draw a line and say no and walk away. I don't care what this is costing me in terms of a career, because I need to keep my mental health, I need to keep my physical health, and also just I need to be authentic to what I want. Luckily, I had a very strong mother. I was raised by a woman who always said, do whatever you want. Don't listen to anybody, and it was sort of like, travel the world, go here, yeah, move there, move to Africa, do this, do that. So for me, it was like I was empowered by that.
Yeah.
So I think, what you were saying about your organization and keepers of sister keepers.
Yeah.
I think it's also up to us as women to really stand together in this. And there's been women coming forward telling lots of horrific stories. But I think just the whole nature of the industry, particularly music. Now, when you look at dance, I think that in some dance world, there are more women, I think, in positions of, choreography and different things from what, I mean, they've done some studies here within Ontario. I know Ontario Arts Council did quite an in-depth study, and they were showing how certain fields like theater a little bit and dance, there was more of an equity in terms of male and women, whereas in music, and other things like that, no, there's still this big imbalance. So I think as more women get in positions in the industry, this will go. And also people are becoming aware. We're talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't talk about this 10 years ago. If you did, people, they just put you down, or they would look at you, you're difficult. I've heard that, we've all heard that, I'm sure, as women. And also, I remember years ago hearing a statement, which was really offensive about, people were saying, oh, the people working here in this place, they're either, they're either bees, or they're this or that. And I overheard it all. So I walked in and confronted them and said, so what am I? Am I a bee? Because I'm not the other, you're saying. I'm not going to be objectified. And I think that objectification in the industry is a big issue.
Big.
It's not just the artists, and if they want to present themselves in a way, hey, all the more power to them. But if they're being pushed to dress a certain way, look a certain way, then I think that's also a problem. And you notice in media, this is going back years. It's not today, but I remember having two artists playing at Afrofest, and one was a woman, obviously, more natural looking. One was a woman who was very light skinned. And the editor of the Toronto Star, I wanted the other woman to be picked because she was so amazing as an artist. So, of course, they featured the other woman on the page. And it was more objectification because of what she was wearing, the way she looked. And I just felt like she doesn't have half the talent of the other woman. For me, that's really sad to see. And I would like to see more women in those positions in media also. There's a lot of women there, but there's still needs to be more so that women are not objectified any longer, and they're looked at for their talent and not the way they look and what they're dressing and, their background or anything about them.
I think that, that's a lovely thing. And I wish that, especially being so within the industry and seeing it so prominent as it is, the era of social media has really changed that narrative, unfortunately, because depending on where you want to go with music, if you want to stay a local artist, all power to you. You can get away with that authenticity. But then when you now want to get to a certain level, you want to be heard on a global scale. It is no longer about your talent, not anymore. And it's so focused on what are your numbers, what do you look like, what do you do, how do you influence people, how do you get people going. That is what they care about more so than can you sing. You know what I mean? It's not. It's really unfortunate. It's quite sad. Like when you look at the music that's really topping the charts right now, you know, it's not music of talent. It's just literally TikTok music. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? A lot of unauthenticity. And I also feel like we're getting to a point right now where we kind of want that authenticity back. And I feel like there's sort of being a shift in like good music coming back and good sounds. But I really know, especially with the social media era, which is really what drives a lot of income for artists and what gets you to shows and what gets you to get booked is what your influence is online. You know what I mean? And it's like that in itself is still so focused on, does she look good? I'll follow her because she looks good. You know what I mean? Or what is she bringing? Oh, I'll follow her because she can do this, she can do that. She has numbers. Like literally people will just follow me just because they saw the verified check. Do you get?
Yeah.
They just automatically, like I'll say I'm an artist. Oh, you're an artist. Oh, cool. Okay. What's your Instagram? Oh, you're verified. Oh my God. Complete switch. A complete switch. And I'm like, wow, that's very interesting. And it happens so much. And it's sad to see that that's really the era we're in. And, you know, kids, like the younger generation is really what drives the streams. They are really are what drives music is the younger generation. And I feel like we lost a sense of morality, generally speaking, a lot. And the era of internet just always diminished it as the years gone by. And the more it improved in so many ways, the more we lost with ourself and spirit and spirituality. And I think that it affects, especially music, even if you listen to music, how it sounded years ago when moral and spirituality was so focused and so part of the narrative of your daily life. You know, it transpired in music and in entertainment. You know, entertainment is a reflection of life and of reality. And now you look at what our reality is now, and that's exactly what reflects in music and what is being heard and what is being emphasized, pronounced. So it's so interesting. And I can only hope that we get back to that authenticity and just appreciating talent for what it was, because the days of Beyonce is gone. Which is so sad.
It is so sad. And you know, quality of music was so important for our day and for your day. Like it was everything.
So serious.
If you think about, like, you know, the verses, right? Don't you look at the artists and you just, like, when you watch them going back and forth and you think about the music that was produced then, don't you just feel alive? You feel so excited. You feel so, oh my God, that time when the music was so good and the quality was on point.
Like, why is that gone?
And then what happened? Why is everything so fake? And why is everything so phony? And why is everything so, like, because if you look at Instagram even right now, everything is just like,
Social media.
it's make believe. It's not real.
The whole music changed though, because with the introduction of computer and you know, like musicians now, a lot of musicians call us all the time and say, we don't feel we have any value or worth, and we're so talented, you know. And now it's a person on a stage with a computer or with a DJ, and so there's a lack of musicianship in much of the music now. I mean, it's still it's
true,
music, and there's beautiful music done that way too. There's a lot of electronic, a lot of other music, which is awesome. It's just that there's that lack where back in the day you had people, real people playing together and creating together. So it was so much more beautiful. I'd be really curious to know what some of my panelists think about how can we change this, like this whole thing about, you know, getting back to more authenticity and, you know, the whole internet thing and how women are pushing themselves to look a certain way to get numbers. And do any of you see this changing, or how can it change?
I question that a lot, especially because it's like with the TikTok era, dance is like what
Big.
you
It's
want to do
huge.
more than three or more than one move in a count of 8. It's like, whoa, that's way too complex. It's really it's really demoralizing for a choreographer. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm doing too many moves.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is I gotta simplify. Oh, this is
Yeah.
it's and so, in thinking about that, it's like what do I drive for? Do I drive for my artistry and the creativity and innovation, or do I actually just do what's gonna make me popular and do what's gonna get me access? And people are like, well, if you do that and the door opens and then you can be innovative. I'm like, but that door's
Yeah.
not guaranteed.
Oh,
It's like it's not guaranteed that
Hello.
if I keep pushing towards this idea of simplicity, that the door's going to open and that I can actually now do the things that I want to do. What happens if I just go through this door and just pray that eventually they might meet somewhere?
yeah.
And the ways in which dance, like there's a huge hypersexualization that's coming up with dance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Heels is not a style, but everybody's doing it. So it's like, how is dancing in high heels, doing jazz funk, doing hip hop in heels, doing Afro in heels? I did Afro in heels like 10 plus years ago. I know. And then it's like, now it's a thing. And I was like, oh yeah, probably just could have just gone in that lane. But I was like, no, that's not really who I am. But that idea of having to sell yourself, or sell of yourself for who? That's always my big question. Who am I doing this for? Because it's like I could be on your Instagram in a panty and a bra and some heels and get these views, but how is that going to help me?
Right.
How is that going to help my artistry? How is that going to help you take me seriously? And it's no shade to the people that do it, because I know a lot of people that do, and it's working
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
It's like power to you because it's working for you. My question is like, can you still go down that lane in 15 years?
Amen.
Because that lane is a very, very skinny road. And then once it's closed, it's closed.
Yeah.
So it's like selling that idea of hypersexuality, overt sexuality, especially in dance, and it's different because obviously in dance hall music, like that's what it
That's
is.
the style, yeah.
It's a part of the culture, but then even then within something that is seen within Caribbean culture, we're now crossing it over into everything else. And there's different parameters for those cultures than it is for everything else. The women have a different control of themselves in those
Amen.
cultures than in everywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a big divide in terms of how do we own what it is that we are. If I'm gonna come up here, if I'm gonna be Spice and come up here and do everything that I'm doing, but you can't rap with Spice. Like you
That's it. Yeah,
you already
yeah,
know who she is. So the minute you walk in, you can't just be like, oh well, no, she's gonna drop kick you. You know.
Yep.
She will
Yep.
fight
Yep.
you.
So she will fight you, but that's
respect is still there.
that spirit is not coming with the
Yeah.
idea of over sexualization in
Right.
young girls. So in the 10-year-old that's
That's true.
watching Cardi B or watching whoever else, they're not getting the fire with it that says, I'm gonna act like this, but I'm also gonna protect myself. And that protection is the thing that I think is not translating. So that way you only see the over sexualization and there's nothing else that comes with it to protect yourself. That to me is a huge thing with women and choreographers, like all of that exploiting of women and women's bodies. It's a huge thing in this industry.
Absolutely. Miss Undefined. A lot, I know.
I think everyone said everything that I could have said. I know for me personally, I can definitely relate to challenges, maybe in a minor way, when I just tried to start up. I come with something different, and so I find myself in a lot of spaces trying to figure out who I mesh with, who I can work with, who's on my vibration. And so because of that, I've kind of mingled with a lot of people. Again, coming back to this idea that women are the property of men, we deal with those dynamics. For me, I've always kind of been strong-willed. I mean, born and grow up in Dakar, ghetto Jamaica, so we're kind of different in the space, you understand? So having those experiences, whether it's just in the words or the feelings, it's been a turn off, and that's what made me kind of disconnect, because if I'm not gonna feel comfortable in a space, it never made sense for me to be in the space. So again, what COVID did for me is it gave me a chance to look at how I would approach this time. So uh, if I'm going into certain spaces where I don't know, I'm going with a friend. So then there's that, blockage. It's business when I really gotta do nothing else. And you touched on the sisters keeper piece, and I think that's a huge thing for me, a huge thing. I think that women have to know and love themselves enough to show up for each other. I think that's very important, and I think that's a missing element, because oftentimes we're pitted against each other. The skin tone, the ear texture, the sexiness, whatever it may be.
Right.
And we have to find a common ground
Yes.
where we know I am about me, so I'm going to be about my sister. And I think that when we start to explore the depths of who we will position ourselves enough to create the things that we need to create, because we are creators and we're not a defeated people. I always say that. We birth life. It's what we do. We are creative. We are the creative element on the face of the planet. So anything that we need, we can have it, right? And it is for us to consistently walk in that knowing. So for me now, as an upcoming artist or poet, I only move in that vibration. You can't tell me what to do. Not gonna do that. Not gonna work. If I go into spaces and I find that people are trying to change, then I'm just not gonna work with you. And I don't look at anything as a loss. I am in a space right now where I'm just attracting. Right. So I am consistently thinking about, what I want to do and how I want to deliver. And I ask the universe for that. Send the people that are going to understand, send the people that are on the vibration. And I find that that's a lot of what's happening. I will enter spaces and, I work with it, do the thing. And, so it's happening. So I'm in a space where I'm consciously seeking to attract. I think it's an important piece that you touched on in terms of that element where we're talking about artists portraying a particular thing, but the youths are missing the other messages.
Yes.
And as such, a lot of them are showing up in the spaces thinking that they have to be a particular way, even if they're not, and that leaves them open to be exploited. I think that women that hold those positions of power, the Spices and the Cardi B's and the Nicki Minaj and whomever else the children are idolizing, have to have those conversations. I think that us, the mass, the public, we have to press them to have those conversations. We have to bring those conversations forth and demand it from them, right? So, because if we can talk amongst ourselves, but if we're not holding the people responsible, then them might not necessarily know, so them have a duty, or they know it and them just choose to ignore it because it's easy. Because as I said, it's a very hard conversation to have, but we'll have to have them. We'll have to keep having them. And again, my message for us is that we'll have to show up for each other, show up for yourself enough, love yourself enough to understand the importance of, us needing unity in all spaces as women, so.
And I think that if you don't have it within yourself to love yourself, to build yourself up, to be there for yourself, it's important to find someone or a group to be there for you, because a lot of people just don't have it in them. They just don't have it in them for whatever circumstances. But if you can find someone or a really good friend, a teacher, find a mentor, whatever the case is, I think that is so important. I know it was everything for me to have someone there that I could lean on if I didn't feel as strong that day, or if I wasn't as sure of myself that day, that I would have someone to lean on. With that being said, I just want to shout out the viewers. We thank you so much for being with us. Just a couple of comments that I want to read from our online viewers. The Herd says, such amazing and intelligent women on this panel. Thank you so much. And Girls Night Out Entertainment says, love this. Thank you for the invite. We love having you. And Sharia Vietnamese says, wow, what a beautiful testimony. Great use of time and wisdom. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We appreciate that. And keep the comments coming wherever you are at home. I hope you're thoroughly entertained. And of course, you're really learning so much about what we're talking about. It's really important and it's extremely useful. If you have a moment, just share this incredible panel with your friends and your family. We would appreciate it so much. And for those on the panel, really quickly, if you want to just share your social media handles, I would appreciate it. Ms. Defined on
So
the end.
it's Ms. undefined underscore, so MZ undefined underscore, and Sistars Keeper, so SISSTARZ Keeper.
And batukimusic.com is our Facebook, and also my name, Nadine McNulty. You can find me on Facebook. I also want to just make a mention when you said show up. I love that. And also, I want to make one last comment about it's never a failure, it's just a lesson. And I think we have to take that in
Yes.
and move forward in a positive way.
Yes.
So thanks for your comments.
Thank you.
AC Mensah, AC spelled ESIEMENSAH.com.